Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into Jim Collins's Good to Great. This book's practically a business Bible. You've sent in some really thought-provoking excerpts.
Yeah.
And expert speaker, I'm ready to dig in. What makes this book so special?
It's not just another business trend, you know? It's about timeless principles.
Mm-hmm.
They can really transform any organization. Like from a small startup
Right.
to a Fortune 500 company, you know?
Wow.
And trust me, some of the findings will make you rethink what it takes to be great.
Oh, I love a good perspective shift. So before we get into the specifics, what's the most important thing for our listener? What's the golden thread they should keep in mind?
It's not about finding this magical formula. It's more about understanding this powerful framework.
Okay.
Think disciplined people,
Okay.
disciplined thought,
Gotcha.
and disciplined action. And at the core, it's all about leadership.
Okay, let's talk about that. The book talks about level 5 leaders.
Right.
And I gotta say, the examples, they surprised me. Like Darwin Smith.
Yeah.
It challenged my whole idea of what a leader should be.
That's the interesting thing, right? They're not those loud, charismatic figures we imagine.
Interesting.
Think more like Abraham Lincoln.
Hmm.
Humble,
Okay.
yet incredibly ambitious, but their ambition. Laser-focused on the company.
So it's not about being the superstar yourself, but making sure the company shines.
Exactly. Leading with quiet determination. A deep commitment to building something exceptional, something that lasts.
Can you give our listener an example? The book mentions the CEO made a tough call. He walked away from a fortune.
Oh, yeah.
Huge commitment.
Coleman Mockler at Gillette fought like crazy against 3 takeovers. He could have walked away with millions, maybe billions.
Wow.
But he knew Gillette had potential.
Yeah.
Right. And that sometimes means putting your personal gain aside for the greater good.
Wow, talk about integrity. Putting the company first, even when there's a huge payout for you personally, makes you think, how can we cultivate that long-term thinking today? In business, in life, putting purpose over a quick win.
That's the question, isn't it? Not just in business, but any field.
Yeah.
Even your own life. What are you building toward? Are your actions actually aligned with that?
Those are some seriously thought-provoking questions right there. It also makes you wonder, how do those level 5 leaders, how do they get results? How do they inspire their teams to be great?
It gets really interesting here. Instead of just diving into strategy, good to great companies focus on the people first.
Okay.
They figure out who, then what.
That makes sense. But imagine you're a CEO like David Maxwell
Right.
from Anime,
Yeah.
and you're losing $1 million a day.
Yeah, every day.
Every single day, you'd want to plan immediately.
And yet that's what he resisted. He knew a mediocre team, even with a brilliant plan, wouldn't get far. So he focused on building a top-tier team first. He actually told people, if you're not on board, leave.
It sounds harsh, get off the bus.
Right.
But I see how it creates that culture of excellence where everyone's an equal.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This isn't about being heartless. It's about honesty.
Yeah.
Setting those expectations right away.
So they weren't afraid to be rigorous in their pursuit of greatness. But the book also says these companies, they weren't ruthless.
Right.
What's the difference? How do you draw that line?
It's a great question. And it comes down to intent, you know. Ruthless is like making those quick decisions, not really thinking about the people, the consequences.
Right.
Rigor. It's
Yeah.
about holding everyone to a high standard. Consistency, making sure you got those best people
Right.
in the right roles. It's about excellence, not fear.
Yeah, it makes me think of those demanding coaches, They push you, but it's not about intimidation.
Absolutely. Like, think about your own work. You ever had a boss, a team, where that high standard really pushed you? You do your best work.
Totally. It's almost like when you know where you stand, what's expected, it's freeing. You focus on the actual work, not office politics or guessing games.
That's the kind of environment these companies built. But having the right people, it's only part of it. They needed that clear direction, too, that unifying purpose. And that's where this hedgehog concept comes in. It's huge. Imagine like a Venn diagram, 3 circles.
Okay, I'm picturing it. 3 circles overlapping.
First circle, what your company could be the best at. Not just good at, the best. Like, dominate.
Wow, yeah.
Second circle, your core passions. What fires up your team? What gets them going?
Okay.
And the third, your economic engine. What can you actually get paid for? Well paid for.
So it's that sweet spot where they all come together. That's the hedgehog concept. That's greatness. Makes sense on paper, but finding that sweet spot, your passion, your talents, and what actually pays the bills, that's got to take some serious soul searching.
You got it. It's a process, not a quick fix. It's disciplined thought, honest conversations. These companies, They didn't shy away from the tough stuff,
Right.
figuring out what they could be truly exceptional at, what drove their economics, but most importantly, what they were passionate about as a team.
It's like they say, without passion, it's just work. But you've got your hedgehog concept. That's your path, what happens when you hit roadblocks. The book talks about facing those brutal facts, but still having this unwavering faith. That seems tough.
It's a balance, right? Being honest about where you are, the weaknesses, the mistakes, the challenges,
Right.
but never losing faith that you will overcome them and be great.
Yeah.
The book calls it the Stockdale Paradox.
Admiral Stockdale, right. Prisoner of war, Vietnam. What a story. The resilience to go through that.
Incredible. And he noticed this pattern with the other prisoners, the ones who didn't make it.
Yeah.
Often, they clung to this false hope, disappointment. When things didn't magically get better,
Right.
they couldn't face the facts of their
Yeah.
situation.
So it's not about being naive, ignoring the problems.
The prisoners who did better, like Stockdale, they believed they would be free. But they didn't ignore the reality of their imprisonment.
Wow.
They held both those truths. That's resilience.
Powerful. But how does that apply to, a business leader today? Anyone trying to build something?
It means having the courage to look at those weaknesses, your mistakes, the data you don't like,
Yeah.
but never losing that faith. You'll figure it out, achieve those goals.
So it's not blind optimism, it's realism. But with this belief, you can do it. Determination.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That drive that says it's hard, but we can do this. And all those good to great companies, they had it. They faced those brutal facts, but they never lost faith. Powerful combination.
It makes you think about those setbacks, maybe even failures, acknowledging them, learning, and coming back stronger.
Exactly. And that leads us to the final piece.
Mm-hmm.
How these companies took those principles, the people, the concept, the resilience, and turned them into action. The flywheel.
Okay, the flywheel. Tell me more.
Picture a giant flywheel.
Yeah.
Like in an old factory.
Okay.
It's a ton of effort to get it moving right.
Yeah.
So push and push, little by little.
It
And then it starts building momentum.
It's like you're working on something and suddenly it clicks. You're in the groove.
That's the flywheel. And Collins found it's the same for building a company. There's no one thing, no magic that makes a company great. It's consistent action over time. That builds the momentum, the breakthrough.
So it's the action, but with the right people, the right thinking, working together.
Yes. But here's the thing. It's easy to get discouraged early on, right?
Yeah.
You're pushing, and it feels like nothing's happening.
Yeah, especially when you see others taking those shortcuts.
But the good to great companies, they stayed focused. They trusted the process, even when it was hard. They knew real change takes time, effort.
So they didn't get distracted by those fads, those quick wins.
They had their hedgehog concept, their North Star. They knew where they were going.
And each step, each action, it got them closer.
Exactly. That's how they did it.
This has been incredible. Expert speaker. So much to think about. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners ready to build something great?
Remember the flywheel. Greatness, it's not a shortcut. It's showing up, putting in the work, trusting the process. Those small, consistent actions, they build something unstoppable.
I love that image. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What flywheel are you building? What small steps can you take today to get it moving? Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep pushing that flywheel.